What is going on, everyone, and welcome to Kart 6T3. My name is Ben. Thank you very, very much for stopping by. I do appreciate every single one of you. You have no idea. I know that some people might look at their analytics on their channel and just like, oh, I hope I get to this measure or that. I'm just surprised every single week that so many of you come back and check these videos out. I really do. I can't express my gratitude enough for you guys doing just that. It keeps me going. It keeps me making videos. You know, if you didn't watch them, I probably wouldn't make, well, I might still make them, but, you know, just nobody would watch them and they'd be floating in the ether with nobody to view them. Anyway, since I started the Track Hack series, which can be viewed on Thursday, and I just started a new playlist. So if you're looking for all things Track Hack, you can go into the playlists on my YouTube channel and find every single one of those from the ones I started to the last ones until I run out of preps to cover. Those are going to be in that playlist. But as you can anticipate, the amount of questions I get about prep is pretty overwhelming. It is, you know, tires are the game. They have been the game for quite a long time. Don't get me wrong. It takes a steady balance of driver and chassis and tire and power, and it takes all these things to become a winner. But without a good set of tires, without having good tire knowledge underneath you, literally, it's all for naught. If you're not attached to the ground, why bother, you know, type of thing. So one of the things that I do get questioned about is layering preps. It's probably the second question on tires I get the most, but I want to make another video on that later. So I thought I would attack layering preps this time because I do get a lot of questions on that. Okay, layering preps. Why is this so, I don't even know that it's confusing, but I guess one might wonder if it's a good idea or not to be combining preps. Now, mixing preps together and putting them on your tires, you know, it's a crapshoot. You don't know what's going to go on. And I guess the same concept would follow for, you know, putting them on one another. But since I'm specifically going to talk about Track Tech here because it's the line I use, this information would branch to other forms of prep if that's what you happen to be using. Anyway, so as I've stated before, if I'm prepping for a Saturday night, if I'm prepping for a major race, you know, weeks out, a week out, whatever it may be, I'm going to use what is a base layer. I'm going to prep a tire either down in durometer to get it where I want, using a prep to gain just in general traction. So it might be something like Tire Tough Mint. So that's gonna toughen up the surface. It's also going to add a ton of bite. Well, it takes 3 weeks to set up, so that's what I'm talking about in weeks previous to a race. So you may, you know, hit a set of tires coming up to a big event, you know, maybe once every couple days, hit a wipe, hit a 2 wipe, hit a 3 wipe, you know, type of thing, and then let them set and let that chemical seep down into the tread and really become a good base. Now, again, you know, you got to watch your duro unless that's your intent. If you're working a set of tires to drop the duro, that base layer is going to be critical to get that duro down to where you need it. Now, where layering preps comes into effect is usually at track. So I have my base layer tires. I come to the track. I'm at the track. I'm ready to go. Practice is coming up. What am I going to do? I'm going to wipe on a pre-race wipe. That is layering of prep. That is layering my base layer with a pre-race wipe in order to fire the base layer off. Well, sometimes at track, I will use 2 different types of prep. So I have a base layer. We'll take SAA grape. It's a cold springtime race. It's nighttime. It's below 50 degrees. It's still cold. I'm using SAA grape as my base layer. I've already wiped the tires previously to the night of racing. At the track, I am also wiping a little bit more of SAA grape at track. It's a faster drying prep anyway, but at track. But I will still, before I go out, say 30 minutes or so before I go out, I will take SQS as a pre-race wipe. I will wipe that. That is layering those preps. Now, you could do this with any other. Maybe you had the SAA grape. Maybe the temperature's coming up a little bit, but you still need the durometer low. Maybe you wipe better than goat pee on. So now you have better than goat pee on top of SAA. And then to fire off that goat pee, maybe I'm going to use orange. These are all things I have done, and they have all worked. And now this takes some experimentation to get correct, because you could be wrong. You could, do a base layer of, like I said, SAA grape, and then hit it with black sand. And maybe that combination just does not work. Maybe, because black sand isn't known for its cold weatherness in property, maybe that goes south on you. So, for instance, I'll when I'm talking, something might not work. I don't think that black sand works that great on a wet track. I've encountered this. I've had tires treated previously to a night with black sand. The rains came down. They ran the track back in. I didn't think anything of it. Ooh. I wiped with a pre-race wipe to bring them in. I believe it was orange. But as soon as I got through that orange into that black sand, and the black sand was interacting with the wet surface that I was on, it did not appreciate it. So it's really a balancing act. Can you layer preps? Absolutely. Can you get great results from it? Absolutely. Can it go sideways sometimes? Absolutely. It can, and will forever when you're experimenting with chemicals, when you're experimenting with new things. But sometimes it's the way you find speed. Maybe you don't want to do this experimentation at a big race. Say you're entered into a 500 to win race. Maybe you leave the experimenting for a regular Saturday night. Maybe you have a local track that you want to try a set of tires, try a sequence of preps, of layering them to see what they do. Now, layering can also be at home. Maybe you want to, instead of internally running, my last video was talking about better than goat pee and SAA grape being combined on the inside of a Vega yellow. Well, maybe you want to mix those two together and use it on the outside. So, or in layering aspect, maybe you want to start with better than goat pee and then layer with SAA grape at home as your prep. Again, it's an experimentation that you're going to have to do, but it is definitely one of the questions I get, especially from new racers. More or less, can I put this prep on top of that prep? And the answer is yes, with the caveat that I can't tell you for certain that it's gonna work. So it's gonna be up to you to decide, hey, was that a good idea, bad idea? Did that really work with this type of surface? Did it really work with this type of setup on my cart? That type of scenario. So I'm not telling you to do it. Again, I'm never the end-all be-all of information here. But what I'm saying is I have experimented with things like this. Many other people have experimented. That's how things happen. That's why new stuff comes in. Hey, have you tried using this and this together? Because it really works. Goat mixed with better than goat pee. I heard that works really good on Burris. I may have used that once or twice. Maybe. Layering preps at a Grand National sometimes to make myself pretty fast for the A main type of thing. That scenario. Anyway, I thought this would be a good topic for you since, we're getting into the throes of getting ready for the season. Is that the right term? Throes? I don't know. Anyway, I got a lot of work to do on my car, and I was like, oh crap, I got a video due tomorrow. So I better get out here and record it. I had this idea. I thought, you know what? We're going to record that then and get this out to the people. And again, I appreciate all of you coming by. If you didn't mind, if you made it this far, if you didn't mind hitting like on the video, like. Every time I go to say this stuff, man, I screw it up. Or subscribe to the channel if you're new here. I would super duper appreciate that. Thank you all again for stopping by, and we'll see you Thursday for another video. Later.